So, what's the most important thing in life? What's more important than your career, than your identity, your sense of purpose in the world, the way you pay the bills, the thing that takes up the most time in your adult life? What could be more important than that, right? Well, the answer is love, specifically unconditional love, if you can find it, though it is like finding a blue rose that lurks in Atlantis. So, my little intro has a purpose other than, to be esoteric and mysterious in my INFJ ways. And that has to do with, I've been getting some comments lately. People have been asking me, how does an INFJ show affection? How do I know if an INFJ, specifically an INFJ male, likes me? And it can be tough because it's not a decision an INFJ is going to make instantaneously, and it's something that requires a lot of overthinking. I mean, a lot of overthinking, because if an INFJ decides they like someone, they want to do everything they can to make sure they're at least given a fair shot, because we're bad at first impressions, and those apparently are real important. We tend, if we like someone, we're focused on that person. It's, rare in general, and I can certainly say anecdotally, I've never had a crush on more than one person at a time. So, if you're into somebody, and that takes time, because as an INFJ, there's also been many times where there wasn't someone I had a crush on. It's not like, oh, well, that's the best person available, so that's who I want to be with. We're not ones to settle or just be with somebody to not be alone. We're introverts, so if it's not somebody we actually want to be with and want to spend time with, we'd rather just be alone. So people have asked me, why does an INFJ seem so cold and distant? The thing is, INFJs, we don't open up to just anyone. We warm, the analogy I'll use is, we're sort of like a tea kettle. We take a while to warm up, and, then all of a sudden, when we like you. And it takes a while to become part of our inner circle. So, the best little bit of advice: authenticity. INFJs love authenticity. Authenticity is the best avenue to see if an INFJ loves you. You know, don't try to play a character. We can see through it. We don't like fakeness. We don't, you know, when we're seeking somebody's affection, we'll try to be as open as and authentic as we can, and overcome our introversion. But what we won't do is change ourselves, to appeal to somebody else. Like, I remember years ago in junior high, like, a bunch of guys were getting into pop music because that's what the girls were into in the late 90s, and they stopped listening to metal and all that simply to try to pretend to be something else to win a certain person's affection. An INFJ won't do that. Now, if we are into you, we will let our guards down rather more quickly than we normally would. We'll let you see sides of ourselves that we keep guarded from most people. But, and we may try to, like, polish any bad habits or overcome our quirkiness and our introversion. But as far as radically changing to become something we're not going to do it. Despite my mother's best efforts, I, was not transformed into some James Franco-esque douchebag. And which is good, because, how would I look myself in the mirror? I could never be like that. Anyway, so INFJs, how do we show affection? How do you know if an INFJ's into you? We show love in little ways all the time. There's consistency as well. So we get to know you. We want to know everything about you, what makes you you. In other words, the deep stuff. You know, we want to know everything about you, both good and bad. If we are into somebody, we want to know their whole story. We'll send songs, that make us think of you. Sometimes we can't verbalize things correctly. So we find, lyrics or poems a lot of times that can illustrate our point better. INFJs, we have this weird thing where we can make something sound perfect in our head, but trying to get those words out are not always easy, and it's never as good once we get it out as it is in our head. And we've overthought the shit out of it, so trust me, what's in our head is pretty damn good. We'll write you a letter. You know, we write better than we speak most of the time. This is because we are in tune with our emotions and our hearts can bleed on paper. And something I should note about this is rather rare. If an INFJ is going to write you a love letter, that means, they have thought about it for a long time, analyzed every little thing they know about you, every bit of information they have, made the intuitive connections, and figured out, like, hey, there's a real shot here. Like, if me and this person can speak one on one and open up, there's a real shot. But obviously, you have to overcome things just to get to that point. But, a little word of wisdom. If you get a love letter from an INFJ, it's going to be a little over the top. The INFJ is going to lay it all on the line. And that can be a little scary. I mean, they're not going to propose marriage or anything, but there's going to be a lot of affection, a lot of detailed information. There's going to be even some logic as to why the two of you should at least give it a shot. And that can be overwhelming. But keep in mind, the INFJ is going to be intense. The INFJ is not always that intense, but there's a reason for that. If an INFJ is writing you a love letter, they're laying it all on the line. They want you to know, all the positive possibilities that you and that INFJ could have. And they're writing that letter, in their mind thinking, I got to put it all in here. I only get one shot at this. Either this goes well or it doesn't. So, they're not going to want to leave out some detail that, may help the person they're into better understand them or give them a better shot at getting a shot at a relationship. So any love letter from an INFJ, two biggest things, three. It's going to be deep, it's going to be intense, and it's going to be long. Because, again, one shot, all or nothing. And an INFJ is into somebody will spend a lot of time around them. INFJs do not like to spend more time than they have to around just anyone. So if they're spending more time around you beyond what would be normal for, say, a work situation, and they just want to be around you, they're probably into you. Another big one is we're willing to talk with you on the phone, and we don't like talking on the phone. So if an INFJ is willing, to talk to you on the phone for hours and such, yeah, they're probably into you, because we hate talking on the phone in general, because it sucks. Can't see a person's face, or you can't get the facial reactions. On the phone, your intuition isn't as good. Then that's a severe handicap for us in any conversation. We'll do little things for you because we pay attention. I've heard a lot of women say that they love it if men notice little things and do little things without being asked. Well, that's what we do, and when given a shot, that's literally how we show affection. So yes, that kind of man is not mythical. We do indeed exist. We are exceedingly rare, but that is how we show affection. So, little things without being asked all the time. If an INFJ is into you, they're going to be doing that. We will lighten your burden. We always want to help people. So if an INFJ is into you and you're struggling with something, it could be just about anything, an INFJ is going to do whatever they can in their power to help you with that, no matter who they may have to confront and no matter what the repercussions may be for them. Our word is very important to us. If an INFJ makes someone a promise, they're gonna keep it within reasonable confines. Like, you know, if an INFJ promises something, they're gonna do it. Obviously, there's gonna be some exceptions. Like, you can't meet your friend in New York to go to a play if you get shot the day before and you're lying in a hospital bed. Barring something like that, if an INFJ makes a promise, they're gonna do it. We give you our trust, and that takes a while for us to trust anyone. So if we open up to someone and appear vulnerable to them, we don't like to be vulnerable. And give personal examples of our own lives, things we'd rather forget to try to help you through something. It means we trust you. And if we haven't known you that long and we already opened up and trust you, that means, we're taking a bit of a leap there and we're into you. Yeah. So those are just, some of the traits. If you notice them, an INFJ is probably into you. INFJs, we show our love through action and consistency. It takes us a while to know that our hearts and mind are on the same page, but while we are trying to see if the love is real, and not just another tragedy, like something we wished would be, like, has my intuition failed me? Am I wrong about this person? Because younger INFJs, that happens sometimes, especially before we, know what liars and narcissists are, and, what it's like to get played, especially like real young INFJs, like early teens, kind of expect the best of people and pure honorable intentions because that's how we think, and we don't know better at that time. So after being played a couple times, guard goes up. But INFJs, while picky, love very deeply and very truly. If you think an INFJ likes you, and indeed they do, it's not some surface level or casual friends with benefits thing. The vast majority of us are not capable of that. I would say, while not all of us are demisexual as I am, I would say more are than aren't. And just a little bit of advice: if you think an INFJ likes you, pull that INFJ aside one on one. You can't expect an introvert to open up to you in front of a group of people. That's too overwhelming. You might as well put us in an interrogation room. If you think an INFJ is into you and you are into that INFJ, you, especially if you're an extrovert, suggest some one-on-one time and, steer the conversation deep. Try to get us to open up. Usually in that situation, we'll open up because we want to and we feel safe. And that is, probably your best avenue to find out if there's something there. Obviously, every situation's different, but in general, I think that would solve most people's mystery to know if an INFJ is indeed interested in them romantically. So remember, INFJs, if somebody is trying to get you to open up, trust your intuition and maybe they like you. And other types, notice these signs and trust your intuition if you think an INFJ likes you. But remember, don't sell out your integrity just to get somebody to like you. And watch my other videos and like and subscribe.